Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of One Shot Reviews. Now before I get started, I wanted to first say that I'm trying to do more of my yearly review series, but also kind of tone down the multitude of videos I'm putting out. Mainly because they're not really getting a lot of traction, so I'd rather spend my time making quality videos instead of as many videos as I can pump out, because clearly that's not really working. But with all that aside, I got something awesome that has already been spoiled because you read the title of this video, so I guess it's not that much of a surprise. But to celebrate another anniversary of my favorite horror movie coming out, Nightbreed, was somehow able to track down the pride and joy of my collection, Nightbreed the Cabal Cut. And this was a lot of money. I bought this last year, so in what year is it? 2022? Oh my god. So in 2021, I think I bought it was like the stimulus check I got, which probably wasn't the best use for it, but I didn't need to use it for anything else, so I just thought I'll put that money back out there and buy one singular Blu-ray. So anyways, I got the Cabal Cut, and long story short, do you need to seek this out? Not really. It is very interesting, and I will get into it and the stuff I like about it, stuff that I don't really care too much for it, but overall, is it worth the huge price tag now? No. Back when it first came out, if you could have got this and you're a huge Nightbreed fan like me, 100% worth it. But the inflated prices that you find in like eBay and Mercari, it's not worth it, because those are just too much. Now I did see, like, last year at some point in time, after I'd already got my copy, a copy go up on eBay bidding war that actually was a pretty reasonable price. Besides that, I can't even find any copies anywhere, so the moment one of these goes back up, I bet you it's going to be an inordinate amount of money that I would not recommend buying, because it isn't quite worth what they're asking for at this point. But before, when it first came out, yes. And I want to say it is kind of a travesty that this isn't more readily available. So if you saw my last Nightbreed video or know anything about Nightbreed, there was like this really good Shout Factory release that came with the new director's cut at the time that is really readily available. It's at a great price pretty much on any market. Now, when that was coming out, Shout Factory had the rights to put that on video. The director's cut had like what was in the Cabal Cut, some of that footage added into it, but it wasn't like what people considered the final Cabal Cut, which, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe it didn't use every single little bit of footage, but for the most part, it used a good amount of it. People then set out to make a more complete Cabal Cut, and actually name it a Cabal Cut this time instead of a director's cut. And when they did that, they didn't exactly have like 100% of the rights to like mass market it and put it out on Blu-ray or DVD. So when they did complete it, they made this deal with Shout Factory and only release a certain amount of copies, because they didn't want it to compete with the Shout Factory release that was still like in print at this time. So I think only 250 of these were released at first, with 200 being a deluxe edition, which is like with posters and whatnot, and then 50 just being some bare bones Blu-ray, which went immediately. They then realized, okay, we have a lot of like surplus that we made, let's just make another deal with Shout Factory just to put out the remaining ones. So even though there is more than 250 of these in the world, there is still not a lot of them. Not at all. The Shout Factory director's cut you can find anywhere. I found the bare bone theatrical edition pretty cheap. There's also a 3-disc limited edition collection of Blu-ray that Shout Factory put out when they did director's and theatrical edition, which I kind of want to review. It's no new material, but it's a ton of bonus features. So if you're interested in that, I can make another review next year for the anniversary. But anyways, that, which is very limited and kind of expensive online, they made 5,000 of those. They did not make nearly this much of these. This is a very sought-after movie for pretty much anyone in the horror world, I would say. Like, if you're a Nightbreed fan, it's the Holy Grail, but it's one of the rarest Blu-rays that you can try to find out there of like a big-time movie in the horror world. I love this movie so much, but realized I spent a lot, so I bought an extra slipcase to put in my collection. This actual copy is this one. I would keep this one in a lockbox, because I paid a lot for it. So this is, again, an official release. I made sure of it. But I do not keep it in my collection. I only take it out for this review and to watch it. So I will just be holding this one because I don't even want to scuff up the other one. So anyways, about the Cabal Cut. This kind of takes all of that footage that's been surfacing for a while that was in like the Ultimate Cabal Cut VHS compilation that they made from a while back, and this puts most of that in here to make a crisp 145-minute running time. Now this is because the opening, again, is much slower, which I actually kind of dig. Everything just kind of takes the time to simmer down and then crescendo into something much bigger. You see Boone before he's already like this nervous, anxiety-ridden person, and he just looks like a normal guy trying to go about his life. Sure, he has some problems, but like he's not like this tormented soul that all the other versions kind of paint him out to be from the beginning. In this one, like you can tell he's just a normal guy, and this stuff just keeps plaguing him and getting worse and worse. I think I also ended up liking Laurie, the main love interest, way more because she just gets more time to like breathe, and we can give more time between Boone and Laurie to establish a relationship more, and overall it's just a much more cohesive start to this movie. I get why it's taken out because it slows the movie down, but if you're a Nightbreed fan and you want to see everything, this really gives you that like core relationship that they have, so the rest of the movie can build upon that and stand on it in order to really kind of show why Laurie does all this stuff for Boone, why Boone is in love with Laurie. This shows it, instead of just being saying, oh yeah, they're dating, and now he's insane, but she loves him. This shows that love. The detective also, who I would say probably is my favorite character, if you're not counting any of the Nightbreed, he gets a lot more screen time in this. I'll talk more about him later, but even from the beginning when, after the initial thing where the masked killer, which Deckard, I guess who cares about spoilers if you're reading this Cabal review, after he kills the people in the opening, you actually get to see that crime scene aftermath, and the detective is there trying to put some pieces together. So he gets kind of like a much more significant arc to the story. Another thing I noticed while watching this is that after Boone first goes to the cemetery, he is then attacked by Pelican and tries to run away, but then Kinski puts a knife to his throat and then like lets him go. This Cabal Cut adds kind of like a fight between Kinski and Boone right before the knife goes to his throat. So it's just more, pretty much every bit of the story just has more, a little bit more to each scene, more action to it, more horror going on. It kind of takes every existing scene and just pumps a little more into it. Now with that said, the footage is bad. Now, I wouldn't say like what I'm seeing on the screen is like, oh, this is terribly acted, this looks awful. No, like it literally is bad. The footage is very grainy, it's sourced from VHS, and a very poor VHS at that, and it really takes you out of the movie every time this footage comes in. That's why this stuff wasn't included in a director's cut, because that is just, it's not a good part to have in a movie. Now, for example, in comparison, I recently watched the Silent Night, Deadly Night director's cut, which uses VHS to fill in all the gaps of stuff that was taken out from the theatrical release. That was even better quality, those VHS interludes, and it really didn't take you out of it too much than like some of the stuff you see here. Especially any scenes at night or in a dark room, just takes you right out of it because you can't even see what's going on. Two things that I think were pretty interesting was, one, Deckard had much more kind of like an arc going on because the mask that he has takes a much more significant role. Instead of the thing that he just puts on in order to kill people, it is like another side to him. It is talking to him at some points in the movie, telling him to do things, and you can tell that he is not in control. This mask, this persona that he's given the mask, is in control, and that is a great angle that this movie took that I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite addition to this new Cabal Cut just because it adds much more layers and depths to Deckard. Which, again, I want to add, I probably mentioned this in my last review, but Deckard is such an understated character in this. His acting is very understated. He has very slow deliveries, he's very stoic, and you can tell he's creepy, but in a very suave way. Like the way David Cronenberg delivers his lines, which one could say like, oh, he's just bad acting because he's not like showing us emotion, but I think this lack of emotion is perfect for the character, and I honestly love David Cronenberg's acting in this, and I probably said this in the last review, but I wish he did more acting because it actually was kind of moving in a way. Like, it was a memorable character, I think, because he was in it. He looks the part, he acts the part, it is perfect. Another thing they added in is that Laurie can see vision through the little girl Bobette's eyes and sees things that are happening, which was something that was in the book but have been taken out entirely in all the other releases. So it's actually very interesting that they added that in, because it shows that they're taking things from the book, and it actually was probably adapted very straightforward. Unfortunately, that when the studio stepped in, they took a bunch of stuff out, and this did not make the cut. Again, it's just some random thing to add, but it's a nice little touch and nod to the book, because it really, again, expands Laurie's character, gets her more like up to speed of what's going on. And again, I love anything added from a book. Like, if you could like page by page adapt something, I love it, even if it's like a long miniseries and include stuff that's probably unnecessary. I like seeing the words that are on the paper just come to life, not like a version of it. That's not me saying that like, oh, all these adaptations need to be line for line, word for word from the book. They don't, because they could still be good. But it's still good to see some of the stuff that you read about and just really wanted to see on screen. Now back to the detective. He does not die at the hands of Deckard. In all the other versions, when like the detective shows up and everything starts hitting the fan when they're killing the Nightbreed, the detective kind of realizes something's wrong, but then Deckard kills him. In this one, Deckard fails to kill him, and the detective escapes into the battle scene. Now when this happens, he actually ends up saving Bobette, which really just changes a lot of the story, because he is just like, he's fighting for the Nightbreed now. He is not just like some random, unimportant, almost background character in the story. He has an arc. He realizes that, okay, Deckard is definitely wrong in what's going on here, and he's trying to make it right by saving these Nightbreed, because he sees that they're innocent. And that is just an awesome addition to the story. That's probably like my biggest regret, is that the detective got cut down so much in the other versions. Also, this kind of corrects a gripe I had before. Ashbury is probably, the priest, was probably my least favorite character, because I thought his acting was bad, and everything just felt rushed, and he was unimportant. This version gives him more screen time, and you can see he has a much more nuanced performance than I thought he did at first glance, because they took out all of like his meaty acting bits. Meaty acting bits, that's funny words. Anyways, so they take out all this like very important scenes for him, and he's very like, you feel sorry for him in this version more than I think in any other version. So by feeling sorry for him, I actually kind of respect him as a character, and I can see like his absolute like agony when he's like rejected by the Nightbreed. And then things that we saw, like the theatrical edition and director's cut, show different versions of this. Sometimes Narcisse lives, sometimes he dies, and you see like his severed head. In this version, you see him die. You don't just like see his severed head later, you actually see what happens to him. So that's actually a very good addition to this as well. Necessary? No, but since he is kind of a main character, you need to see the main characters die if they do. They can't just die off screen. That's lazy. So, with all that said, I'll go back to what I said before. I don't think you need to buy this. It's really expensive. At the moment, I don't think you can buy it. But if you find it for a decent price that's either as much as it was worth before or maybe a little bit more, I would buy it and get it right away, because it is a great piece for any Nightbreed collection. However, do not pay an inordinate amount of money like I did. I just wanted to put out this review to show you guys what it was like, but not worth it. Sorry guys. I know that it's like this Holy Grail that you want to seek out in the horror community, but it is a lot of money and it is overpriced in my book. Now with all that said, people still say this version is not the complete version, not the ultimate version. So there's still more stuff out there. They didn't include every single shot that was filmed. Some people want them to, not really sure why. Like, I think director's cut was the best version, and I think people should be happy with that. They put out this, which was something entirely special, and I'm not really sure what people expect from there. Maybe one day there will be like an ultimate Cabal Cut, and if that ever happens, then hopefully people would be okay with that release and wouldn't freak out over it. And oh, what do we have here? Tune in next year.